Hey, what's going on? This is Guys Talking Sports. I'm Al Qualls. With me, I got my panel here. Got my boy Earl Ross with me. Say hello to the people.
What's up?
Hey, so we're going to get started right away. There's more people going to join the board, but we're going to get started and talk about what's going on in the world of sports and, just going on from a guy's point of view. So we're going to start, I guess, with the NFL. That's been going. The NFL season is just kicked off right now. The Seahawks is leading the Green Bay Packers 10-7 in the second quarter. Just wanted to talk. Are you excited that the football season is upon us right now?
Yeah, man. It's been a long summer, but summer's usually with baseball and golf. I'm a golf fan. I'm slightly a baseball fan, but I'm ready for some football. Ready to see how it's going to go down. Ready for my New York Football Giants to see if they're going to, do much better than they did last year or just do the same. So I'm ready.
Now, since we're on the topic of the Giants, I have a question. Let's start from the bat. Of course, the preseason record was 5-0. Do you believe in that they're going to have a better record than they had last year?
I think they will go slightly better. I think they'll end up 8-8. I don't think they're going to go 0-6 like they did last year. I think that was just an aberration for a Giants football team. I think there were just a lot of mitigating factors that kind of, helped out. A lot of injuries starting off the season, going into the season. But I think, they go 8-8. The offense is definitely a work in progress. If anybody that's looking for them to, do this West Coast offense and come out the gate, firing all cylinders, can clearly see that it wasn't the first string that won them 5 games. It was the second string and third string that won it. So it's be work in progress. But I think they're probably going to go in 8-8 and probably miss the playoffs. Miss the playoffs.
Okay, so wow, I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't have them going that far. To be honest, I really have them at the most winning at least 6 games. I have, like you said, the preseason really didn't mean anything, and the first string really didn't show anything for me to think anything above that at this point. The first game is definitely going to tell me whether or not where they're going to stand for the rest of the season.
Nope, I think I lost you there for a second.
Okay, yeah, I got you back. What I was saying was that the first game is really going to be telling whether or not what the Giants is going to do for the rest of the season, whether they actually acclimated to the West Coast office like this. I give it time, of course, but their performance in the first game is going to really be a showing for what the season is going to be like.
Yeah, I agree. The offensive line is still, patchwork in progress. The defensive line is not that good. Your secondary is probably the strongest, which in past has always been the secondary that's been the weakest. So, the running game is still, unsure. The wide receivers, their first round pick, Odell Beckham is, he's hurt. Who knows when he's going to be actually able to play and really contribute. So I don't know. It's 8-8 is probably kind to them, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Like you said, the first game against the Detroit Lions is going to actually. I think the first 4 games is going to really be the telltale sign to see how they do. If they come out 2-2, I think they'll have a decent season. If they come out 4-0, they have a who knows. But if they come out 0-4, forget about it.
Yeah. But so who do you have? If they're 8-8, do you have them? Let's just put it out there from a division standpoint. Who would you rank from 1 to 4? When it's all said and done, record wise.
Based on the body of work going into the end of last season, playoffs, and going into this season, I'll probably have to say, and I don't even like even admitting this, so I'll probably, on paper, I would probably have to say, depending on how Nick Foles does, I would probably have to say Eagles, number one, the Redskins number two, and the Cowboys and the Giants flip flop on 3 and 4.
I completely agree with that. I, I I completely agree with that ranking. Um, do you? So with that being said, if the Giants doesn't go, like if they don't go the way that it's supposed to go, do you count that as a season of disappointment for Eli, or is it something more of a team effort?
Well, it might be team effort because the offensive line wasn't good last year, and he threw his a career high interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive line is not that much better this year, so he might do the exact same thing. The West Coast offense might help him out because he has to drop back 3 steps and you get the ball out of his hands instead of waiting on it, trying to find a receiver and then fit it in. He's going to do that regardless because that's who Eli has been since his career. But it might be a toss-up, but I think at the end of the day, the quarterbacks is always going to get the lion's share of the blame. And if the Giants don't do anything this year and miss the playoffs and do bad, not only Eli is going to get thing, but I think this would be Tom Coughlin's last year.
Yeah, I completely agree. At this particular point, when it comes to the point, if they have 2 disappointing consecutive seasons, you really would have to reevaluate the team as a whole and what direction it's going, especially for the Giants.
And I think, obviously, to be perfectly honest, I think, outside of, winning the Super Bowl again, I think this might be Tom Coughlin's last year, good season or not. I think the time has come for a change, head coach change and, the way they're doing things. And I think this Bob McAdoo signing as an offensive coordinator is there's nothing to sneeze at. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Coughlin goes out and McAdoo gets, bumped up to head coach eventually.
That's interesting. So let me ask you this. If Manning, let's say, for example, mid-season, if Manning throws more amount, how can I put this? If Manning throws halfway in the season, if Manning throws more interceptions than touchdowns, do you count that as a failure to the offense, the offensive scheme, the West Coast offense, or do you count it as a failure more towards Eli Manning?
It depends on how the interceptions roll out. I think if, it's clearly Eli Manning just, threw, bad passes and they got picked off, that's one thing. There's a situation where he put the ball right in the receiver's hands, it popped up and someone caught it, that's a different story. So it depends on how the interceptions occur.
Okay. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how the Giants play against the Lions on Monday. I'm very interested to see how this plays out. And like I said, the 5-0 preseason record was I don't buy into that at all.
Me neither.
Like you said, with the second and third strings playing with bulk of the minutes, it's not really a telling tale of what the first string can do. So we'll see how that goes on Monday night.
Oh yeah.
All right. So while we're sticking to the NFL, you're already aware that Roger Goodell stiffened the penalties for people with domestic violence, and he also suspended Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, for 6 games and was fined, I think, about $500,000 for that DUI that he had that he pled guilty to. I believe it was a misdemeanor. So I just wanted to know your takes. Was that a stiff penalty for that?
That's borderline because I guess it depends on who you talk to. For me, I think it was stiff, but I don't know if it was stiff enough. I mean, he didn't threaten the team with any picks.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it wasn't a team issue that they got caught up. It was more of a owner's issue that they got caught up with. So I mean, what do you do? Do you do like how they did, Donald Sterling, fine him, ban him from the game, fine $100 million. I think if they would have banned him the whole season and fined them like $1 million for that kind of behavior, then that might be that. I think that'd been okay. If you're giving them picks, that's one thing. but then you're jeopardizing the team, but the team didn't do it. The team didn't have the DUIs. It was Jim Irsay. So I mean, it. I think it was. I think if he would have got the whole season and the money, I think that would have been a lot better than just getting 6 games than 500. Because that $500,000 probably, in a great scheme of things, not that much of a big deal. He'll probably get that money back before the end of the season.
Yeah, but I have to admit, I don't really understand why they would they suspend owners for a certain amount of games. It doesn't do anything for them. I mean, it's not like they're playing the actual game, so them not coming to the game doesn't really affect them as much. I mean,
No,
go ahead.
no, they're sitting at home to watch the game on their big screen TV and not physically have to go to games.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's the thing I never understood. Like, how is it that why would you suspend an owner for for games when it doesn't affect them at all? With players I can understand because they have they get paid to play. So if they get suspended and if they don't play the games, then of course they don't get paid. So I can understand that, but I never understood that with owners. So it's kind of weird that the NFL wants to suspend you for games when you don't even play in the actual NFL. So that's why that's one thing I never really understood. Now, if it'd be different if they gave a stiffer penalty, the $500,000 I thought was okay. If anything, I would have thought that it would have been a little bit more, but just having them in the mix, for suspension of games or being banned for games doesn't really affect them because they still got to get paid whether you suspend them missing games or not, or ban them for life. They're still going to get paid. So I thought it was weird that they suspend them for 6 games.
Yeah, if you're going to get him, we got to get him somewhere different. That means you got to get him in the pocket, or you got to get him where it really hurts, and that's draft picks.
Definitely. I just never I never really understood that. That's like, why would you suspend me for 6 games? Like the league definitely needs to change that up. I mean, because if I'm an owner and you suspend me for, I mean, the $500,000, yes, I can understand that. That's money, being taken away from me. But the 6 games, I'm like, that's not going to affect me. I don't play the game. So I thought it was just, they really need to change that up. That's my opinion. I don't think that they should actually have. I mean, they shouldn't be suspending owners amount of game, for the amount of games that, as a penalty.
And I think that was a dilemma that, the NBA faced with Donald Sterling because, I mean, when everything came out, I mean, what he did was just shoot off the mouth in home on a telephone with his girlfriend, mistress, jump off, whatever you want to call it. He didn't do anything detrimental to the team. What he said was, was wrong. But, I mean, how do you police an owner for really speaking his mind on telephone to his girlfriend when he didn't do anything, critically wrong? He didn't bet on the team or do anything. I'm not saying I'm not trying to, defend the dude, but how do you police owners for doing stuff like that when they didn't do anything directly detrimental to the team? They weren't trying to get a competitive advantage over another team, not like how the Patriots with Spygate, but how do you police that action?
I think that's something that they need to work on, at least to a particular standpoint, because, like you said, the owners, they do need to be held accountable, but you have to hit them where they understand that it's not to be done again. And like you said, the Donald Sterling thing, I mean, the only reason why it really got to the point where it needed to be was because it was brought out to the public. And once it was brought out to the public, people was just like, people were saying something needs to happen. And once you get the people saying the same thing that it needs to happen, and once you have players in support of it, it was really nothing he could do at that point.
Yeah, which I think it was a slippery slope for the NBA because, the other NBA owners was like, okay, they got to do something. But then again, they're, putting in, rules in place which could get them, jammed up and, down the future. Same case, what do you do with NFL owners? I mean, how do they police their own owners? I mean, the only thing you can really do is can really hurt them is if they do something seriously detrimental to themselves that's going to be damage to the brand and the shield. You got to take the team from them. That's the only way you'll get to get these owners to act right. And most owners don't flip out like that, but in these cases, you have to threaten them with taking the whole team from them, lock, stock, and barrel.
Now here's the question: like, would you take? I mean, how about this? Would you take ownership away from? You would. How could you do that? You can't take ownership away from them because they're the owners. So how would you police that? Would you get a committee together to actually suspend the owner for for a year without actually having working on the actual business aspect of the team?
That was something before legal counsel, because at that particular point there's legal means or legal ways you can force an owner to sell the team, and you reach back to the NBA, there's not really much they could do. If Donald Sterling went kicking and screaming, the whole deal wouldn't have went through. So Jim Irsay's case, I mean, in the situation, they can't really force him to sell unless they rewrite some constitutional rules for the owners to saying that, even though you own an NFL team, once you get into the NFL league, you have to uphold these standards. And if at a certain point, if you break these standards that damage the integrity of the NFL, then these are things that will happen to you. We will take that team from you, because the NFL has to actually approve the sale of the team to an owner. If the NFL can approve the sale of the team, they can also, in a sense, approve the sale or approve taking the team away from an owner. But there has to be some legal binding things, contracts that everybody has to sign on to. That's
true. But here's my question, though. Like, how would it be if, let's say, for example, like with Jim Irsay, this is his, I'm not saying, we already know that it's not his first offense, but let's say, for example, this is his very first offense with the team. How would it, or what would happen if it's a second offense? I mean, like, that's something that the league is going to really have to sit down with the owners and come to some type of agreement with this. Because right now everything is going on the fly. I would believe that everything is going on the fly when it comes to the owners. The players, you already put a policy in place, and you even stiffened the policy after the Ray Rice situation, for example. So, I mean, the same thing has to be held accountable for the owners as well. But I think that's something that they have to come together in agreement with what they need to do. If they have any problems with the law or anything, they have to be held accountable, not just from the law itself, but for the league as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, Roger Goodell and the owners have to sit down, because basically the owners have to put in, rules in place to police themselves. So they're putting in rules that one day eventually, if they step out of line, could, put harm to their team or even take their team from them. That's the only way you're going to put any fear in these owners not to do anything serious, is to them by taking the team from them. Or forcing them to sell, or however mechanisms that they have in place to oust the owner.
Yeah, and it'd be real interesting to see if the NFL will actually do something like that, because that way you give a sense of at least there's something in place, because the players, they already know, they have policies in place, and if something was to happen where the owners do the same exact thing, it'd be interesting to see how the league will handle that situation in regard differently from how the player it would if a player was doing the same exact thing. So,
yeah.
But side note, that whole Ray McDonald situation, he right now, I haven't even heard whether or not the league or even San Francisco is going to suspend him for the first couple of games after the domestic dispute. So I'm interested to see how they're going to handle it, or if they're going to wait for the court to do something first before making their ruling, which I believe they probably will.
Yeah, I think, of course you have to get confirmation on exactly what happened, and if it was indeed, domestic violence, then of course the league is going to come down and we're going to get the, Roger Goodell put in it rules, 6 suspension. So the question is, will the 49ers do anything? I think with that rule in place, I think it lets the 49ers off the hook to a certain degree because they don't have to necessarily do anything themselves. They can let the league, police the player to this extent. I mean, maybe they might fine them. Maybe they might, sorry, maybe they might kick him out, suspend them for a game or two until the league decides what they're going to do. But I think at this point, I think they're going to wait toward the criminal investigation and find out if it's indeed domestic violence. And then I think 49ers will let the NFL just suspend them 6 games and call it a day.
Okay. Now, with that being said, do you think that do you think the public is going to be okay with that ruling if the 49ers don't do anything, and at least until after they hear from the legal side of things first? Because the fans, you know how a lot of people are, especially after the whole Ray Rice situation, fans nowadays, or the people as a whole, they call for blood when they see it. And when they see someone that just did something when the whole Ray Rice, immediately after, 72 hours after Roger Goodell put that policy in place, do you think that the people is going to want something to be done right away? Or do you think they'll be patient enough to wait for the legal system to take its course first?
I think you're going to probably have there's going to be a small section that's going to probably want, everything to happen immediately, but I think you need to allow the investigation to go through so you can at least find out exactly what happened. I mean, if it's indeed, domestic violence like, it is being said, then you take the appropriate reactions. The NFL already has the rule in place, so you let the NFL, rule go as it is. The Player Association probably won't even make a peep out of it. But I think that you're going to probably want some people that's going to probably want something done immediately, but I think allow the investigation to occur. If it's indeed what it is, then allow the NFL's rules that have been put in place to, handle the business.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let me ask you a question. Since we're still on the topic of NFL, and is there? I just want to get your predictions right now. I know that we have a certain mindset of teams that's going to make it to at least to the conference finals. Is there one team in each conference that you feel is a sleeper team that could take some of the favorites out, or to watch out for, I should say?
That's a very good question. Maybe Tampa Bay down in NFC South.
Okay.
Maybe Tampa Bay. That's hard. I mean, because the good teams are really good this year, and the bad teams are just really bad. But I think you might have someone in there, but you kind of have to see what it shapes up. But I think Tampa Bay might surprise some folks.
That's interesting.
I think. Well, I want to see the Oakland Raiders, but David Carr is still a rookie starting, so I'm not going to put too much stock in that. But I think they might actually do a little bit better than most people predict them.
Okay.
Go ahead. But I say my prediction is Oakland Raiders are going to be the team to contend with the next 3 to 4 years.
That I agree with. That I agree with. And I would not be surprised down the road that Oakland is going to be a serious contender. I picked my dark horse to be who did I pick? I picked the Arizona Cardinals and the I did pick the Colts, but I take that back because they're always going to be in it as a good record. I picked the Cardinals, and I also picked. Unfortunately, I really wasn't planning on picking them, but I would not be surprised if the Jets do some damage and eliminate somebody off.
Gangrene. I don't know, man.
And the reason why I say that is because of the simple fact is, like I said, the secondary unit is, suspect, of course, but I think by the midweek, by the 6th week, they should be able to figure everything out. Their offense is pretty solid. I'm not going to say that they're good, but they're solid enough, and their defense is solid enough. I'm not going to say that they're going to have the best record or anything like that, I would not be surprised if they knock somebody that's a contender out.
I can see that. I mean, but like I said, I don't consider them as a sleeper team, but yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I'm picking a real dark horse here. I'm picking a real dark horse. So I'm just now that I picked it, I want to know if I might change my mind, but I'm not even going to do that. I'm gonna stick with him. I'm gonna stick with him.
And it was since we're sticking on the AFC East, man. Don't sleep on the don't sleep on the Buffalo Bills.
Really?
EJ Manuel and Sammy Watkins, I think they'll get their act together, man.
Yeah, by the beginning of the season.
Mid-season, give them mid-season. I don't know. It was look a little ragged in preseason, so I'll say give them mid-season. I think they're gonna come on mid to late season. I'll say give them that.
Okay, all right. I'll give you that. Now, do you consider that being a dark horse?
I still get taking Tampa Bay, but I don't know that.
Okay.
It depends on how they mesh.
Okay. All right. All right. Real quick. I really didn't think I was going to talk about this, but I do want to get your opinion. In the NBA, the FIBA World Championship. I really don't want to talk about it because I know how Team USA is pretty much been dominating. But question: do you really think that Spain would be able to give them a run for their money?
Yeah, I do. And I've watched some of the. I mean, they struggled against Turkey. I mean, they got lucky in that third, going into the mid third into the mid fourth. They got hot, but it wasn't looking good outside of that. I mean, I think Spain can give them some work. I mean, they shouldn't just think they can come in there and walk. They ain't got all the behavior they do in the past, but they got a very good squad. But I think they could catch a loss if they catch a hot team at the right time. And these players, after seeing Paul George go down, ain't nobody going to be going out there giving their 100% trying to play.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw that. And they showed a couple of highlights, mainly the defense of James Harden, but I'm not even going to get into that. I really do believe that Spain is the only one that can give them a run for money, but I have been watching the other teams just because of the fact that some of the team members will be playing in the NBA. So I have been watching some of the league teams play. But I agree with you. I think Spain can definitely give them a run for their money. They're too talented, and the chemistry is just too good for them not to give them a run for the money. So.
Yeah, and even when I watched the last game with Team USA, I'm like, they were putting out work, but I mean, it was like a half-ass effort in my opinion. I mean, it's like they know they can beat them, but they're not trying to go out there and really give it their all. It's not like an all-star game, but it's like an all-star game light, in my opinion.
Yes, I do agree with that. I don't know if they're not. It seems though, like you said, it seems like they're just, it is what it is. We still playing for Team USA, but it's not as intensified as it would be as a playoff game.
No, I mean, like I said, no one wants to get hurt. I mean, after Paul George went down, Kevin Durant said, "Oh well, I'm going home because I'm, winded and tired." No, you went home because you saw Paul George get hurt. You didn't want that happening to you. I mean, he wouldn't have got that $300+ million contract from Nike if he got jacked up like that. So.
And to be honest, I cannot blame him. I cannot blame him for anything that you can't. I mean, FIBA is not doing anything to ensure that that they're going to be okay if something was to go down. So I don't blame him at all. I'm surprised more people didn't do that.
Me too. When I heard Kevin Durant, I'm like, they're about to have a mass exodus, but a lot of people, stuck around. But since we're talking on the FIBA, getting basketball, what is your opinion on Derrick Rose, and do you think he will ever be the player that he was, or even close to it?
To be honest, from what I've seen in the FIBA, to be honest, I don't even think he's showing what he can do, but he's not going to give the FIBA team their all. Not while you have so many different players there that is capable of taking over the game. I think he's taking a laid back approach. Um, in the FIBA this summer. I think he's more concentrated on what's going to happen when the season starts. So I can't really tell you what he's doing. Right now, it just seems as though that he's just there to be there. He'll turn it on every now and then, but it's not like he's going all out for the whole game. And I really don't see that intensity. We probably won't even see that intensity until the NBA starts. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's using the FIBA just to kind of get himself back into football shape, kind of using it as an extended training camp. I mean, getting his wind up, getting his legs back up, seeing how much he can take, test himself. Yeah, but then I think he's pretty much more so for training camp and then definitely for the NBA, but he's not going to extend himself too much.
Yeah, I mean, because he's not even starting anymore. Kyrie Irving is starting now. Well, that pretty much has probably changed now that Irving got injured. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like I said, I don't think I can't really take Derrick Rose seriously until the beginning of this season. I remember the last year when he started playing at the beginning of the season, he was playing with a chip on his shoulder until he got injured again. So take that for a grain of salt.
Yeah, and I think that's and if we going back to saying who's going to be the team to come out the the Eastern Conference, on paper, you got to give Cleveland the nod, but the Chicago Bulls only going to go as far as Derrick Rose is healthy. I mean, I say on paper. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying fully. I mean, there's some holes. Will they win the whole thing? No, not with that team they got for Cleveland. But on paper, at least the Eastern Conference, you got to put them up near the top.
Maybe. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I just can't do that right now. I can't even.
That's why I stress paper. I stress paper.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about that. I'll wait till the preseason starts. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, though. I do understand what you're saying. And Chicago is only going to go as far as Derrick Rose takes them, regardless of who's on the team. So, be very interesting to see how that plays out. But I think that's why he's doing what he's doing now, because I don't think he's worrying about the Team USA per se, because, like I said, he has the talent already there. His focus really needs to be on taking Chicago Bulls to the next level. I think that's the only way that's going to be better for him, benefit him, and put him more on the map if he brings, if he takes Chicago to that level.
Exactly, and I think, I agree. I mean, I think the FIBA game is just really just a good way of knocking off rust and just pushing himself to see how much he can take before the regular season starts.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think that's how some of the teams are at this particular point. The players that's playing now, it's just really just to help them out during the summer. Instead of just playing pickup games, I think that's what it is. Usually they'll be playing the Drew League, but now they don't. They're playing for the Team USA. So it doesn't matter if they're playing in for Team USA or the Drew League. It's just something that keeps them going during the summer and keeps them going. Knocking off the rust, like you said. So.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, the talent is good. It's not upper echelon talent, but it's still good talent nonetheless.
Yes, I agree with that. All right. Well, I'm not gonna hold you long. I know it's been a long day. So we're gonna talk about everything else the next time around. Probably get some more predictions going. Talk about Major League Baseball, of course, because it's almost that time for the playoffs. We'll talk about all that. We'll definitely talk about all that, predictions and stuff like that the next time we have our episode. So I want to thank everybody for checking us out. I want to thank Earl Ross for coming on and giving his insight about the sports. Really appreciate it. Excuse me. For everybody, thank you for watching. You can check this out now. It's on iTunes on the podcast section. You can check it there. You can also check it on Google Plus Hangouts. That's where we are on right now. You can check it on YouTube as well. I'll be sending the links out as I normally do. And I would like to thank y'all for stopping by and watching. Hey, if you have any questions that you want us to ask on air, or any Q&As, you can hit me up on Twitter. I am Al Quarles, and I'll definitely get it out there so that you guys, so that everybody can see them, and we'll read them out loud as well. So again, I'd like to thank Earl Ross for stopping by and talking a couple of minutes with me, even though it's a late night. But I do really appreciate it, Earl. Again, everybody, go ahead, Earl.
No,
Oh, wait, you broke up.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm all right. I can hear you.
Okay. No, I'm saying it's all good, man. It's my pleasure, man. We'll be back next week, to do the thing. We, of course, you got to talk up leading to your boy Floyd Mayweather, doing this fight number 2 with Madonna. So we can definitely talk about that one.
Yes, that will be on the topic of discussion for sure. For sure. All right. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for checking us out. All the viewers that came on and disappeared, really appreciate it. Again, you can catch us next week at our usual time on Wednesdays at 9:00 p.m. Come in and say hi, give us a +1, subscribe to YouTube, say hi or say what's up. We really enjoy all the feedback and all the comments. So until next time, this is Al Quarles, host of Guys Talking Sports, and we'll catch y'all next week. Take it easy.
Motor out.